Welcome to the TEK2day podcast powered by CEO Raider. It's your host, John Mayetta. It's been a few days since the last podcast, so I wanted to catch up on some of the content that we published. The most recent post that we published is sort of an operational article around consumption-based pricing models, usage-based pricing models, and how we think there's an opportunity for technology companies in particular to benefit from this type of model. Most technology companies, software companies, have some version of a usage-based model, although it's a bit ham-fisted. So, for example, if you know of the tiered subscription model, usage is baked into those pricing tiers, but it's not as transparent as it could be to both the customer and to the software vendor. So, for example, if you have a three-tiered model, there's some baseline level of usage baked in there. And I'm not talking just the number of users attached to each subscription tier, but in terms of the company's calculations around data usage, data storage, and the associated costs associated with delivering that service to those users. So that's sort of implicitly baked in there. But what we posit in this article is that both users and companies could benefit from additional transparency, if you will, by having pricing models that are really very much pay-as-you-go. So for example, a pricing model whereby the number of users is one price driver, and then the amount of data that's used on average in, let's say, a monthly period, the amount of data that's accessed. You've seen this type of model today most commonly with API-based pricing models. You've seen it in the past with mobile data plans, telecom pricing models. You've seen it with transaction-based pricing models, if you think about fintech and credit card companies and things like this. But if you're a software company at the application layer and you're storing customer data, you are storing your own code, perhaps you're onboarding third-party data into the cloud-based product in this example. And as you know, if you're an operator in the technology industry or a customer or an investor who tracks the space, you know that enterprise data, consumer data, structured and unstructured data, especially unstructured data, has proliferated over time and is likely to continue to do so. It's just a question of how fast data will grow going forward. And so if you're confident as the vendor that the data you're going to be required to manage for your customer, if you're confident that that data set or data sets rather will continue to grow, why not charge the customer explicitly for usage? So instead of having those sort of flat tiered models, why not have a pricing model that calculates usage in real time and then base your pricing off of that, off of your cost? And so month to month for a given customer, you may have a little bit of a fluctuation up and down if the number of users is the same for a given product. Their consumption may vary a little bit month to month. But over time, you would think that if your product is successful and has gained traction in the market, you're going to increase the number of users, and for sure, the amount of data that they work with on your platform is going to increase, probably faster than the number of users. As such, it would make sense to have a pricing model that captures that upside. But what we used to do in my days in InsurTech is we would sell into P&C insurers, and we would have a baseline threshold. And then any usage above that threshold would trigger a variable component to the pricing model. So if you're the vendor, as you're pricing products, as you go to market, you could think about the pricing model. It's really going to be a function of how confident are you in customer attach rates, in usage levels, and in data consumption, for lack of a better term. Bits and bytes that are being stored and used on the system. And the more confident that you are in growth around those data sets and growth around the number of users, then it probably makes sense to have the fixed component, the baseline component to your pricing model be smaller as it relates to the variable component. Because if you think, again, customers going to grow, the data they access, those data sets are going to grow, then why not grow with that data and have more of your pricing model be variable? So that's all for now. See you all next time.